When this one, I mean, I think technically movies get old. Even 2001 Space Odyssey, that for me it's a masterpiece. When you see it nowadays, by moment you see that the special effects are visible. When you see Pasolini's Salo, that's another masterpiece. Like all the gory scenes are kind of cheap, and the dubbing is cheap. But well, you do your best at try to improve your own technical skills to make it look great. Well, whatever. I was lucky to have the producers I had who told me, go ahead. But getting this amount of money for such an experimental movie doesn't happen often, and Kenneth Anger, who deserved to do a feature film with lots of money, never managed to do a feature film, so I can only be happy of having done this for them.
Oh, great. And from what little I've read in Tibetan book,
And that was the purpose. But then, actually, it's quite hard to do a good POV in a movie. I thought it would be easier. And there are many things about how actually, if you really want to reproduce the perception of someone, your eyes are moving all the time, and the camera at the beginning of the movie is very, very stiff compared to what it would have been in real life. There are not many movies that try to reproduce the perception of the main character, maybe the Lady in the Lake, or the beginning of Strange Days, or Brainstorm by Moments, or the movie by Schnabel. But again, even in my own case, it tries hard, but it's cheap. I guess to have a real like Avatar movie, you have to shoot it in 3D, and if it could be interactive, it would be even better. We would just set the whole story in 3D, and then it would be the main character who would be moving his eyes. Not the spectator who would be managing to decide where he's watching. But yeah, I think technically cinema is gonna get old very quickly. They say that books last much longer, and even nowadays, if you wanna last for long term, you better write a book than direct a movie. Like black and white movies seem very old. Books that were written in the 20s or in the 30s seem very fresh. Even King Kong, which is a masterpiece of that time, or Metropolis, they seem like coming from the Middle Age. The helicopter scenes at the end were kind of difficult. Then sometimes when you make a scene in a nightclub, it's very difficult to manage a big audience of people drunk. I had the same problem in university, but that's like on set, it's really a headache to do a proper nightclub scene. But then I would say, what am I proud of? I like the strobing effects in the movie, and the out of focus effects in the movie that I hadn't really seen before in normal narrative movies. Most of those things were done in post-production. We would call them the treatment, the visual treatment. On set, mostly we were shoot with a crane, and it was like a normal continuous shot. We would do faster versions and slower versions of the same scene. But then all this like weird effects, even the depth of field was recreated in post-production. The copy you've seen is a digital print, a DCP. It's not a 35mm print, although it was shot on Super 16 and Super 35. That's why it looks like if it was film, but the screening you attended today was a digital screening. And actually the colors here are great. In Toronto the colors were not as bright as here. It was the same the same digital master, but I really like the screening here too. Of course, you decide on the set before you go on set, like during the location scouting, or you're doing the plans for the studios, we wanted very bright colors, and we avoided the color blue or green, which we thought was not so mental. So mostly it's all red and violet and orange. And I cut down 4 minutes since Cannes, but then I added the credits, so actually it's like 2 minutes shorter but mostly it wasn't achieved. So all this visual treatment was not fully completed in Cannes. We worked like 3 more months on the sound, so the sound was much cheaper. Lots of sound effects that I really didn't like, but I had to put because we had to deliver before Cannes. Now have been arranged in a way that I really like it. So no, I would say this is it was a great experience to be in Cannes with the movie, but it was not the final version. It was like a work in progress. Maybe I don't know. But for the moment I like this version, so this is my version. It's supposed to come out in February, but for the moment there is no plan. Well, Bunch, you should ask that to my producer. I know they're dealing with some people in the States and elsewhere. Like, I think also the movies are kind of UFO. There are movies that you know how to market, like Trainspotting, Agency. It's all a good movie, even if you feel bad or something joyful about it. I would say that people talk a lot about the movie, but most distributors don't know how this unusual product should be marketed to. There are big discussions about that, like what should the trailer look like, teasers, poster, how do we do with this movie? I guess most of the distributors are kind of like fascinated by the movie, but they're kind of lost of how to communicate on this movie. Hopefully an erotic mode. 10 for fun.